Hello everyone and welcome to a very special episode of Take 2. Today we're reviewing a game called Starpoint. Now, first let me start by saying that when I was playing this game there was something that was bothering me, but it wasn't until I finished beating it that I realized what it was. Now let me preface this review by saying that this is a great indie game. It was made by only 2 people and they achieved a lot with this game. They created something that's really fun. They've called it a minimalist indie game and they've certainly achieved that. Now, I really enjoyed this minimalist design and the soundtrack that goes with it, and most of my complaints boiled down to the fact that I wanted to play it like a Sonic game, but I couldn't. Now, I found myself getting stuck on random connection points in the levels, which caused me to slow down to almost a stop, and this caused the levels to feel very choppy, especially when later levels would require you to make a large jump over a big gap, and it was hard to do if you had just gotten stuck on a point. You would have to restart that level all over again. Now, despite all of this, I actually really enjoyed playing the game. First, let's take a look at the pros. For starters, this game is free to play on the computer, iOS, and Android, and I'll be sure to link in the description how you can get a hold of this game. This also has a fantastic minimalist design and soundtrack. It has very simple background, music, controls, it's all very good. And the controls are also responsive and easy to understand. It's just a WASD or the arrow keys to control the planet. Now, there's also over 45 levels of varying difficulty. They're not all super easy, but they're not all ridiculously difficult. I think the developers struck a nice balance between the levels. And perhaps one of the best parts about this game is the very fast respawn after death. Once you die, you can hit the restart button and it instantly teleports you back to the beginning of the level for you to start again, which is very convenient when you fall off trying to complete collecting all of the stars in the game. Now, time to talk about the cons for this game, and it might just be me nitpicking, but one of the things I found was the random difficulty spikes in the game. It was kind of odd because sometimes you'd be playing a level in some of the later planets and it would be super easy, and then bam, you were hit with a ridiculously hard level that took several times to get used to, and it didn't help thanks to the somewhat choppy level design and the difficult jumps to make. But then the very next level would be even easier, and so forth and so on, and it would go like that, where you might have one planet, for me personally it was World 6, that's really hard, but then the last planet was really easy. There wasn't very much of an in-between difficulties, and I didn't feel like the difficulties ever steadily increased. It just sort of jumped and then went back down. This game is also very short. Although there are 45 levels to them, each level is roughly only 30 seconds long to beat and collect everything inside of it, so you could easily beat this game within the matter of 30 minutes, maybe 1 hour if you are really struggling trying to 100% collect everything in it. Another thing that I think was a really missed opportunity is the use of power-ups. Now, as you'll see in some footage here, you can see that there are several power-ups that are available. There's about 3. There was a gravity power-up, which reverts the gravity upside down to allow for you to maneuver onto other platforms and collect stars. There's also a magnet power-up, which allows you to obviously collect stars without having to, as soon as you get near them, without having to actually run them over. And the third power-up, which is the most rare, was a speed power-up, which would launch you forward and act as a magnet. Now the reason I say they seemed like an afterthought is because with the exception of the gravity mechanic, they weren't really used. There was only maybe a handful of levels that even had a magnet power-up, and I think I can only recall about 2 levels that used a speed power-up. I would have really enjoyed having a sort of shop you could use to spend on in order to buy upgrades for that run if you were struggling to try to collect stars and such. However, because of this, the power-ups, although they're interesting in their mechanics, I really wish they had been utilized better in the game. And like I said earlier, my biggest complaint with this game is the random points that you would get stuck on, losing all speed. There are several parts in each of the levels where if you accidentally jump it improperly, you'll end up stuck in a ledge and make it impossible to jump up to your next spot. Overall, it just was kind of frustrating to have your speed completely stopped when you were trying to jump for it. However, that didn't really lose my enjoyment of this game. And that's why I'm giving this game 7 rolling planets out of 10. I'll be sure to put a link in the description for where you can download this game, and be sure to check out the developers as well and see their Facebook page for updates of this game. Thanks so much for watching everyone, and I'll see you guys next time.